In this video, I'm going to show you how to use some of the more advanced features of Collaborate while giving a lecture. I'm presuming that your presentation itself is still relatively simple. That is, you're comfortable with either having a PDF or a PowerPoint without the animation in your presentation available. If you have very complex animation or you need to show a live demo of an application, I'll talk about that in a different video. At the moment, we're just presuming that you have something relatively simple, and you should have looked at my other video about how to do those simple lectures because I have one uploaded already. So I'm going to do the normal thing, which I share, and you can see I have one student. It's a fake student who is attending at the moment. I generally recommend that during your lecture, particularly if you have more than a few students, anywhere over 5 or 6, I would say, that you recommend that you either turn off directly, sorry, unfamiliar computer. Under session settings, you turn off share audio and share video, and you can turn off, if you don't want them messing with your slide, you can turn off whiteboard and files. So this does two things. One, it lowers the bandwidth, but two, it prevents the cacophony of different people trying to talk at the same time. Just have them ask their questions in chat to everyone. That's probably the simplest way to go. Okay, so let's start the presentation. I go to the sharing panel, share files. I'm going to do the PowerPoint one this time. Share now. I see the preview, and I start. So now all the students will see this on their screens, theoretically. And as I said before, you have some draw tools, and that's handy. The other thing to know is that the students can choose to raise their hand by clicking this icon down there, which if you're going to have voice questions really can be helpful. They can also give various kinds of feedback by tweaking their status. So they can ask you to go faster, or some other ones can say that they want you to go slower, and similarly they can say that they're happy or sad. That can be potentially useful. Again, I strongly recommend that you just have them use the chat, because when they use the chat, whatever they say pops up there, which can be a little distracting. So if you don't want to pop up, just show the chat screen there. On the other hand, if they use that as a way for asking questions, then it combines the functionality of the hand raise and having a question, so it makes things a little bit easier. Okay, so you're giving your presentation, and this is fine. I know that some people use Kahoot, for example, to do in-class questions, and you can do that here as well by using polling. The problem that I have not yet figured out is how to prepare a set of polls. So in this case, you have to kind of write them on the fly. So for example, is this fast enough? If I start the poll, this question will appear on all the students' screens, and they can answer. At some point, you get 100%. I guess I have to also do that, and then you can show the responses and potentially discuss them and polling. So I think because you can't pre-form, as far as I can tell, you can't pre-form a set of questions, I think this works a lot better if you have a co-instructor or a TA with the questions, so that they can be typing while in preparation. Type the next question in preparation while asking one, or while you're doing other bits of lecture. Though I think a quick yes/no question can be quite easy to put together because you don't have to type all the answers. So that's what I've mostly used at the moment. So you can go on with your presentation. Students, again, you could ask students to circle some key bit. I think that's another good way to get some interaction, or to point at something by using the shared whiteboard, which is one reason why I think keeping it there is a good, keeping it on for all participants is a good idea. You can always clear it. And I think that pretty much covers the during lecture features. Now, of course, you might do something like pause the lecture, you have a question about something. So, for example, you might ask people to, I don't know how to think it here, to discuss the slide that you have now. And to do that, you might set up some breakout groups. Now, one of the problems that I have with breakout groups, it's a strength and a weakness. So when I create the breakout groups, so I'm going to assign myself to 2 and the student to 1. Let's say you can also have it assigned. I'll attempt to switch groups. So when I start that and I'm ending up in a group, I no longer see the presentation. This is because breakout groups are isolated sessions with their own set of files to share, so they can share files locally. They can share a blank whiteboard, but I haven't yet seen how to distribute information to all of them easily. You can always have your slides available someplace else. You can always, they can always move back and forth. So if you're here and you've set up, they can always go back to the main room to see what's going on, but that's not quite ideal. So I think that's still a little bit awkward, but it's still possible. And obviously, if you have something that they all have by some other form, then they can do that. But it might take a little bit of planning to make that work nicely. And I think that's the main features and main enhanced features over just the simple record and go. I'll note that recording at the main level does not entail recording in the group. So breakout groups generally don't get recorded. And I think that's everything. I will have another video on how to do more complex animations, which require sharing your screen.